Hi, I'm James Robinson, and this is my stock pick of the week. Today's part 2 on my series on Manpower. Today we're going to talk about the operations of the company. So as I alluded to in the overview, the gross margins for this company are horrendous. They really would make me completely disinterested in this company if it wasn't for the fact that I did some additional research. I became aware of Manpower because I was researching Robert Half, which is sort of in the same industry. And when I look at one company in an industry, I often look at others just to get a sense of what's going on. Manpower's margins are so thin because they take on employees for companies either as contracted labor, as temporary labor, and they pay those employees and then are reimbursed by the companies that are actually using the workers, utilizing the workers' skills. And so the result is that they've got this giant amount of revenue, which is really strictly a pass-through and goes straight to the employees. So their real gross margins aren't really this bad because their real revenues are sort of artificially inflated. Here you can see the earnings. There's two things you should take away from the earnings. First, since 2012 or 2011, the company has done great. It's been very profitable and done a great job of growing earnings. However, you want to look closely at what happened in 2010. That was the middle of the recession, and this company was killed in the recession. But it was a short-term blip. They immediately came back and turned it around. So their earnings have grown. Their earnings per share have grown even faster as a result of stock buybacks. We have to recognize with this company, you might own this company, and if a recession comes, you might have a short-term blip where the value of the company goes down, but we think that's temporary. And we think that you just have to sort of ride that out when it happens. So net earnings as a percentage of revenue, you can see since 2011, that number has gone up virtually every year. It's gone up marginally, but remember, these revenues are so massive, $20 billion in revenues for a $5 billion company. The fact is they are doing a better and better job of converting revenues to income. Selling and general administrative, again, this is simply an offshoot of the way this company does business. By the way, I always talk about the 4 taxes. There are 4 things that a company has to do to stay in business. Let me rephrase that. There are 4 things that many companies have to do to some degree or other to stay in business. And we want to stay away from companies that are doing a poor job in multiple areas. We have to recognize that in some unique cases, they'll be high in some areas. So the 4 areas are selling and general administrative, plants and equipment, inventory, and research. So some companies are going to be high in one category, but we want to make sure we're not looking at companies that have sort of significant areas cost in all 4 of these. So for this company, selling general administrative is extraordinarily high. It's in the bottom 25% of the 800 and almost 900 companies that I've looked at. Normally, this would be the kind of thing that would rule a company out, but again, I think it's artificially high due to the nature of their business. And when you look at the other categories, if you look here at plants and equipment, and then you look at inventory and revenues and research, you see it has 0 research, it has 0 R&D, and virtually 0 plants and equipment. So we just accept that the selling and general administrative is a little bit high. So in summary, regarding the operations, gross margins are narrower than we would like, but we believe this is due to artificial causes related to the structure of their business. The company's done a solid job of growing revenues over the long term. Due to the nature of the company, it is more liable than most to react poorly to a recession, but we believe it'll come back quickly as the recession ends. Selling and general administrative is very high, but that's due to the same issues that are affecting gross margins. However, that's more than offset by the fact that R&D, inventory, and plants and equipment are all very good, and they more than compensate for the high selling and general administrative. So in general, the operations for this company are very good, and there's no reason why you wouldn't buy this company based on the operations.